everyone, my name is Jennifer Jackson. I'm a registered nurse and I'm an assistant professor in the Faculty of Nursing at the University of Calgary. And this video is a quick overview of some ways to better manage citations and references and also get the most out of Google Scholar. So citing references is one of the frustrating things in academia for many students, but it is also crucially important because this is how we demonstrate academic integrity. And if someone is coming out with like a brand new vaccine for COVID-19, I want to know that they have done their homework and that they can use academic material and properly cite it. It also gives me the ability to fact check and make sure they're doing this appropriately. And you can look up other papers that have been cited, and it provides a gateway to more information. So some people may find academic citations very frustrating, but they are very important. So there's a few shortcuts you can use to make this easier. If you are using Word, in Insert a Citation, if you click on the references on your home ribbon, you'll see that there's an option to insert a citation. You can manage sources, you can run a bibliography, you can have APA style, or you could change it to, give me the drop down, there you go. Chicago, you could have MLA, you can have whatever style you need, and you can customize that out of this insert citation section. So a lot of people haven't taken time to look through, the ins and outs of all these different functions in Word. So this is one way that you can use technology to help make your referencing easier. I personally use Endnote, so there's an Endnote plugin for Word so that I can insert citations directly from my Endnote library, and then you can adapt them to like APA 7th or whatever technique you want to use for your citations. So there's lots of tricks right in Word, and if you use different programs, you can get plugins for Word that help you cite as you go. The worst possible way to manage citations is jot some notes and try and do that all at the end. That is a recipe for disaster. And if you are starting out in undergrad or if you're in graduate school, I highly recommend that you are using some type of referencing software. Particularly in graduate school, my PhD thesis has over 1,200 citations in it. So if I had tried to manage those all like independently, I would have absolutely drowned. And if you aren't able to show that you can reference appropriately and that you can cite academic sources with integrity, that throws into question your entire thesis. So this is absolutely worth. There is a startup cost. You do have to learn how to use these programs, whichever one you pick, but it is so beneficial in the long run. So this is like a little bit of pain for a lot of gain later on. So if you just Google comparison, reference programs, you can pull up a million different kinds. This is one I found on the internet. I'll link it in the description, but you can just Google, there's a million different types. Also, I check your university library webpage because most universities will provide free licenses for some types of reference software. They may also provide training courses in-house or have in-house developed materials. So I started using Endnote, and I think, there's pros and cons of each one of these, but there isn't really one that's a lot better than the other. They all have drawbacks, and then they all have different strengths. If you're doing a systematic review, it's good to find a type of software that will blend with one of these referencing softwares. So when you're doing your inclusion and exclusion criteria, you can go through and make sure you keep track of everything. So yeah, I use Endnote because the university I was at the time when I got started offered free licenses for Endnote. Now I've kind of they've got me, I've got everything in it, and I just continue to use it. However, there's lots of free platforms. Mendeley is free, RefWorks, depending on, some universities offer it for free, Zotero is free, so there are lots, you know, some of these have in-app purchases, but there are lots of resources that are available to you for free. So if you're willing to spend a little bit of time getting into it, it will save you a lot in the long run. But if you're in graduate school, mandatory, please, please, please make sure you're using one of these programs, or you know, some other kind of system, but you have to have something to keep track. Now, flipping over to Google Scholar, we'll think about some more shortcuts and ways that you can make referencing faster. So one of the things with Google Scholar is that it can make searching a lot easier. Now, Google Scholar is controversial, and if you're doing a systematic review or something, you cannot use Google Scholar alone. It is a good way if you are looking for a specific article, you know exactly what you need. It's a good way to find that. Or if you want to just get a quick overview of a topic, this isn't meant to be systematic, but maybe you just want to brush up on something before you attend a workshop so that you'll make sure you get the most out of it. Google Scholar is a really good way to do that. So when we're looking at this page, many times in nursing, you're required to have references within the past 5 years. You can customize over here, which will help you do that. When you're looking at a reference, there's lots of tools here that can help you. If you want to develop an online Google Scholar library, you can use the star and that will save references. If you click the quotation marks, Google will generate the reference for you in a whole lot of standard formats. So then all you have to do is copy, oops, and then paste, and there you go. Now, Google Scholar is not perfect. Sometimes there will be mistakes in how it generates these. So you have to check them, and you have to know what the conventions are with that type of referencing so that you get them correct, so that you can pick out the mistakes. But it will generally save you a lot of time, even just cutting and pasting the references. So if you feel pretty confident that you know the ins and outs of APA style and you just want to save some time, maybe you're in your 4th year and it's not really worth it for you to start using a whole new referencing software, this is a quick shortcut. If you do use a referencing program, you can also download, say for example, to Endnote, and then it will download the reference and you can import it to your referencing software. So these little quotation marks are one good shortcut for references in Google Scholar. Another great technique with Google Scholar is if you say, this is a really good article, but it's from the year 2000. I need something more up to date. If you click Cited By, this then shows you every indexed article that has this article listed in its citation. So this is called citation tracing. And so if you think of like your article is here, citation tracing looks at everything that came forward, or everything from that article on. So 2000 to 2001, 2002, up to 2020. The other thing you can do is look at the reference list of the article, and that will take you backwards. So if you have your article at 2000, that will show you what we were talking about in 1995, 1990, 1980. And that's really good if you're doing something in a historical field, or you're talking about an idea has changed over time, or how a policy has changed over time. So using tools like this Cited By, there's also related articles, or using the reference list, that helps you go from your article, go both directions to look at the full scope of knowledge relating to that article. So it's not as good as doing a systematic type of review, but it is a good way to get started and identify some important articles. Or if you are trying to write, you know what, you need 10 citations in this paper and you've got 9, this is a good way. If you've got a really good quality paper you've identified, it's a good way to lean towards others. Finally, if we were to, say we click on this one and we come to this page. So most journals or most repositories, whatever you have, they have different ways of making it easier for you to access for the resources because they want you to keep using their stuff. So they'll often share like related articles on the side, but this one, you can click Export Citation and it will generate the citation for you in APA. All you have to do, copy and then paste. You can also download it in different ways so that you can import it into different programs, or you can export directly into your referencing program. So each journal's page will look different, like PubMed will look different from Journal of Advanced Nursing, which will look different from IJNS, but depending on the publisher that they use, you will see that they have these common features. They will have places where you can export the citation, or sometimes it'll say cite. They have examples of other articles that you might be interested in because you're looking at this one. So use those tools to your advantage to save yourself some time while you're writing your assignments. And you'll find that, oops, no, I would not wish to provide feedback. You'll find that you'll get used to what the different journals layouts look like depending on the publisher. So anything else Sevier publishes, it has the same format. Anything that comes from Wiley, anything that comes from Sage, they're set out the same way. So the more you engage with these journal websites, the more you'll get used to like, where are the buttons I need? And so initially it does take a little bit of playing around with it, but that's good to do early in a term, so when it comes later and you're trying to get everything wrapped up, you know where to find the things you need that will make your life easier. So just to recap, get to know your journal homepage. There's lots of shortcuts on here. This little button, copy and paste, save yourself a ton of time. Also, you can use cited by to look for articles going forward, or use the reference list to look for articles going back. And particularly in your grad school, but generally for any time, consider investing the time and possibly money into referencing software because it will make your life a lot easier. Now, none of these are foolproof. You do have to be able to understand how to cite academic sources and proof all of these, proofread them, check them, make sure they are okay, because you don't necessarily know if the output is going to be perfect. However, you can spend a lot less time proofing if you've got the base structure there. So hopefully this will help you get the most out of Google Scholar and save yourself some headaches when you're working with references.